Hey guys, so today I want to talk about flat locks. You may have been looking through your set of locks and notice that you have a few flat locks and you may not know why. So today I'm going to talk about a few causes of flat locks, and if you happen to not like those flat locks, I'm going to give you at least one thing that you can do to round them back out to make them cylindrical. So let's get to it. So Atreyu is here. Welcome to my channel. Set Atreyu, 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 set Atreyu. Alright, so there are three things that I'm gonna list out to be potential causes of flat locks. First of all, if you're on a free-form journey and you're not palm rolling, you're just basically washing and doing that thing, but you're not creating distinct parts and you're definitely not palm rolling, then that is something that can lead to you having flat locks. I mean, think about the free-formers that you've seen, even the ones with huge congos, right? Usually you see a part where it's like a flap, right? It's thinned out. Not thin like unhealthy thin, but it's thinner than other parts of the hair. The person I think of immediately is like Seth Aker before he cut off his freeform locks. He had like flaps and stuff, and it looks super sweet. But if you're not, palm rolling, then that can definitely lead to you getting flat locks. Another cause is if your hair is wet and then you lie down on it or you apply pressure to those wet locks. You have, like a cylindrical lock, but then remember, when your hair is wet, it's more malleable, so it will become like a sponge and squeeze and become flattened out. So, and then if it dries, say like you do a retwist and your hair is still kind of damp when you go to bed, you're lying on those locks, so they flatten out, and then over the course of the night, maybe they dry. Well, they dry in that new flattened state, and so doing that over and over and over again can lead to flat locks for sure. Number 3 is if you have a looser curl pattern. So it's more like a wavier, some people have called it a zigzag pattern, which is kind of more like 2D, right? Versus having really coily hair like I have, where it's more like 3D. If you have super coily hair, then you will more easily develop cylindrical or round locks versus a looser curl pattern. I would say that if you have a looser curl pattern, a wavier, zigzaggier type of pattern, it will definitely be necessary to palm roll to guarantee cylindrical locks. Versus if you have coily hair, some people can get away without palm rolling and still get nice round locks, just because the very nature of the pattern, it's more conducive to cylindrical locks. And so to illustrate this further, I found a piece of lock jewelry that I made over a year ago. And so you can see that this piece of lock jewelry has a more cylindrical part right here, which corresponds to someone who has very coily hair like myself in most spots, and then but also a flatter part right here, which corresponds to someone who has a wavier or more zigzag texture. Alright, so now if we take a lock, right, this can be new growth, it can be the hairs that are shedding, whatever. Here's the lock, okay? As you can see, because of the very nature of the coil here, it wraps around the lock, and so that leads to a rounder or more cylindrical lock, right? Versus these hairs that are wavier, as you see, right? More zigzaggy, they're not wrapping around the lock, and so you end up with something that's flatter versus something that's rounder, something that is 3D versus something that's more like 2D, okay? Hopefully this is in focus enough where you can see what I'm saying, but I think you guys get the point. So let me see if I can find a lock. I have some flat locks in here. Okay, so you can see with this one, at the beginning of my journey, I was I was palm rolling for sure. I was retwisting every month and palm rolling, and it's round, it's pretty cylindrical. But then there came a point when I abstained from retwisting, and since I wasn't retwisting, I mean I wasn't palm rolling, and it got flat in this area. Okay. But then I noticed that, and it kind of freaked me out at first. It was like the first time I ever noticed flat locks in my set, and I'm like, what the heck? So I started palm rolling again, and it started coming out cylindrical again. It's all about what you want. I personally, I kind of like to have a few flat locks interdispersed in my set, because I think it adds character and adds to the whole uniqueness. But if you don't want, flat locks, then you can work to reverse it by palm rolling when your hair is damp, because remember, when your hair is wet, it's more malleable. You can kind of shape it and mold it and form it into the shape that you actually want it to be. So hopefully this video has been insightful. So now you know of a few ways that you can actually develop flat locks against your will, and a couple of ways to combat that is, one, if you're just starting out and your hair is coily, be sure to get comb coils, because that kind of caters to your natural curl pattern and will lead to you having cylindrical locks. And then follow that up with palm rolling. I would say that if you don't have coily hair, you have wavy or more zigzaggy hair, then you want to definitely palm roll, or you run the risk of developing flat locks. But some people really love flat locks. I forget, there's one, is it My Lele? I can't remember her YouTube name, but her whole set of locks are flat. Looks really sweet. That's not my preferred taste, but yeah, I mean, you can definitely rock it and do well with it. So hopefully this video was helpful, and as always, please learn to love unconditionally, because loving with conditions conditions the heart to not really love at all. Sebs is out.